Okay, we're live. We have one like. Yes.
Hey.
Before we go to the recording, I already have early sign off for several folks for their joining the podcast. We'll see. Nishant promised to get back, but he is still on the East Coast. But several folks from the new job. But again, we'll see.
That would be nice.
Already two people watching and listening. Yeah, the previous one was the problem that I completely messed up with announcement. I haven't moved it, so yeah.
Yeah, I think like having constant time like helps a lot, because I have like a few shows like podcasts that I know like the day they usually issue. So I plan to like in the evening to start listening, and I have like YouTuber who doing like Friday show like exact time. So I know after lunch I will sit and watch it. It's always nice to have this cadence.
You remind me. Do you know who Roran Keaton is and his GameStop?
Is it like all this like trader popular things?
Yes. Yep. Let's actually start with this topic, but let's first start the recording. Just give me a second. That would be a nice starting point. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Non-Intuitive Beats podcast brought to you by the Leaders Club. And you are actually part of the club too if you're listening to us. But as usual, do consider elevating your membership status by joining Discord channel. And today in this virtual studio we have Dmitry Mananikov. Say hi to people.
Hi everyone.
And the most annoying voice as usual would be me, Slava Kavalevsky. We were chatting about Roran Keaton. So what do you know about the guy?
So as I remember, like he was popular on YouTube and on Reddit, and essentially he's a trader who is like trading publicly. And if I recall correctly, like a few years ago when GameStop was going, like GameStop is a gaming company who is publicly traded, their stock was going down. And many hedge funds, they start selling calls. I always forget. Essentially, they try to play on the fact that stock goes down and get like money on it. So this guy, and probably a few more, they started a wave on Reddit saying, hey, let's actually start buying GameStop to like start bumping up price. And if we have enough people, like all these hedge funds, they will get margin calls and they'll also have to buy stock. And that will go price up. And it was like really fun thing happening because GameStop stocks start rising. And I even remember like Robinhood had to halt their trades because they didn't have enough money to cover something. It was like pretty funny shit show, and like how hedge stock, like it's kind of interesting because these big funds, they can do like they can like sink stock down, but retail investors cannot because there was a lot of investigation. I think this guy even was brought to Congress, no? Or some committee.
I'm not sure. Maybe it was quite some time ago.
I think yes, he was like on some like investigation part, like trying to figure out is posting your intention on Reddit insider things, like not insider trading, how it's called, like market manipulation, I guess.
Yes, that was the intent for them to hammer him with market share price manipulation. Yes. Do you know why I brought his name again?
No, I guess something happens again.
Exactly same shit. Exactly same. So this time I actually managed to extract some profit. So the guy scheduled the YouTube stream after 3 years of pause. And let me show you the
GameStop again.
So this is a GameStop price. It skyrocketed again 2 times. And the actual live, I think, was taking place today. This roller coaster have happened because of his messaging and what he posted today. This is a guy who owns, I think, at least 100 millions now with all the stocks, GameStop stocks and options that he bought. And YouTube streaming, obviously, I have not watched. Unfortunately, didn't have chance. But when this started, I managed to profit it in several ways, and one actually I got screwed over exactly because the NYC have stopped trading several times with GameStop, exactly as it happened several times. So some of my limits never worked out, but this time I was selling calls to other people. Let them have their fix, so to speak, these gamblers on Wall Street bets. Completely retarded calls with target price $100, and you can sell 100, you can buy call 120 or something like that. Sure, there you can. It's not a huge amount of wins, but so what if it's still 2-3K? I will take it gladly, so that part worked out. But what I did, I actually had a very long-awaiting GameStop call for also out of the money that I bought for cheap for exactly cases like that. So when I start selling calls, I profited from those. They expired, not executed, out of money. So that was really nice. But my call that was constantly red, the price went to the level that I have not the stop loss limits to sell it, but didn't work because the Nasdaq have halted the trading. So now it's almost back again.
So government prevents you to being rich.
Yes. I'm still net positive with all the thing that I earned, but it's aftertaste. It's a little bit horrible, but nevertheless. Yep. What?
I'm curious, like, how you can, like, if someone doing this, right? Like, see, essentially, he goes and say publicly, "I will go to buy something," right? And I'm pretty sure, like, he maybe even didn't say that one, right? Like, probably his tweet was something like very vague. Can you actually accuse someone of manipulating market when they just like say random stuff, but everyone knows what they're talking about?
By the way, the only thing that he did, he announced that he will have a live stream.
That's it, right?
Yep.
So, like, technically, it's like in some way it's market. I mean, it's the same way market manipulation. Like when Elon Musk go and say, "Hey, Tesla will have self-driving next year."
Oh yeah.
People go and buy Tesla, and it's not happening the next 8 year.
True, and I'm pretty sure they will try to hammer him again with that. I don't think they actually can do this, but I'm pretty sure they will try. And the funniest part, if you look on the stock price for today, there was a peak and drop. And the drop have happened because the guy was late. So the peak started, then the live have not started. He was late for like 20 minutes and everything started dropping down. So when he came, it already was after the peak.
I just think like it's actually a really interesting concept of some organizing society. Imagine he actually go to stream, but he like show how he cook food. Like no stock, just like cooking food, right? But everyone already profited of the job.
Yep.
So 3 months, they say, I'm going to do stream again. And he do cooking again. But people do this again. So it's kind of interesting because no one explicitly agreed to do thing, but everyone understands what's going on.
Yep. By the way, since we talking about the investment, I on the last several weeks, 1 or 2, I think last week, I had the most profited speculation trade ever. It was with Salesforce. With the Salesforce, one of the investor. That one of the analytics to whose services I subscribed, Salesforce share price, have identified that there are companies in the very similar business as the Salesforce that have experienced a drop in revenue due to the market condition. So they have a earning call several days before the Salesforce, I think it's what Workday, and they told why, but these conditions were not specific to the company. So he gave a list of the companies that will be impacted by exactly the same thing that has earnings like very, very close. This was one of them. And this is exactly how I like to do very speculative trading. 80-20, 80 safe, 20 not safe. But not safe, I constantly losing a little bit until finding this.
Like, with this analysis, I would say, like reading something, you did like huge amount of analysis compared to most speculative traders who just, like draw lines on the screen and trying to put a pattern and say, hey, this will go up or down. Compared to them, you did like a really impressive complex analysis.
Oh, no, not me. I have like 5 or 6 places that they call it, I think, scanner or just analytics, where scanning the markets and trying to give you insight with some ideas, more or less risk and reward probabilities. Because again, usually this would be ex-Wall Street traders that either blow up or that something happened to them. And they have zero risk. They're just selling you the ideas. You buying those ideas, but it's your risk. So, it's win-win to both. Highly, I've been on the other side of the fence, and I was trying to trade manually, so to speak, doing my own analysis. I don't have enough time. Like analysis like that, no way I can find it myself. Like that's just not possible.
It only started to make sense once you have like enough like capital to actually justify time spent on that.
Oh yes. I was speaking with my wife another day, and we were discussing how some folks back in the day when we still were in Ukraine, and some folks there were literally gambling with the money on the investment. And while, it's easy to say 80-20, only risk with the stuff that you can lose and things like that, and then you're opening a position by buying a call that costs several thousand, the folks might only have a portfolio of several thousand. So for them, even to get exposed to those type of the deals, they have to risk everything. So it's very unfair. You only can start actually being profitable trader and doing something like 80-20 when you have a decent size of the portfolio. So it's unfair to give this advice to folks with a small portfolio. It's just not possible there. And I honestly don't know what to do for them, I mean. Another thing that I recently found interesting, I allocated a small chunk of portfolio for selling puts. So the way how it works, I don't trade with margin, but I do have margin. So now you can be selling puts for the margin, but you only will use this margin if the puts is exercise.
So essentially you're selling puts, and if it's exercise, someone actually will force you to buy from them.
Correct, yes. So we're selling puts against margin, but I not incur any percent because I'm not using them. And I'm selling puts for something that I'm okay to hold. Like puts for Meta, put for company that I actually would love to hold their 100 shares. And so far it worked reasonably well. I start allocating some portion of portfolio for that specific strategy. And if I just actually forced to buy, I just wait until the thing recovers, or not only wait, you immediately can sell call actually and sell it through the call.
It's called a wheel, like option wheel. Essentially you sell put, then you sell call, like in a repeating, and you always cover it in some way.
Yep. And the best part that when you're actually selling call, you're in the worst position because you're selling call and it can go drastically down, and then you start losing money.
You still have to, like, if you do this wheel, like you sell put, someone then force you to buy stocks, and then you have stocks. So now you sell call.
Yep.
I think the problem here is like you need to care, like you need to see on a long term what is income on that one, because I've seen like some people discussing it, and some have a good percentage income, some not.
So here is my very, very early and probably mature calculation that I did. My understanding that you can get lower percent that you will get by holding shares with the higher probability. So yes, if you're doing put calls on the Facebook, you actually theoretically might get better if you're just holding Facebook. But again, probability of that might be lower than getting 5% consistently.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's more or less what I'm trying to calculate and aiming. Anyway, this is the part, unlike this thing with Salesforce, this is the part that ask me again in 2 years. And, let's have a discussion. Anyway, before moving forward, do you have anything else you want to share with investing, maybe?
No, let's move to other topics.
Okay. Do you have a preferences? We have many of the stuff that we can cover.
Okay, so we have a way to code kernels. This seems like a very heavy topic, but I would like to know about it.
Do you know what kernels are?
I'm immediately thinking about Linux kernel.
Okay.
I guess it's not that one.
Yes, that's indeed a different one. So kernels in this specific context are how you program GPUs or TPUs.
Okay.
So the kernel is just to provide some additional context for the GPUs and TPUs. It's a thing that using architecture usually many processor single program or many processor single data so the program is effectively one, but you're using different data for execution of it. This is very efficient for things like highly parallelizable. For example, if you're doing matrix multiplication, the formula is exactly the same. Now, and there is many interesting side effects. For example, if you're actually putting an if statement inside of your program, now it will have to do everything twice. It's literally will have to go to execute all the instructions line by line. Then it will have to mute half of the threads that's going to else.
Interesting. Why it's happening? Why should it be done this way?
So it's not exactly like this in the latest thing that released from NVIDIA, like H100 Plus, because they're actually a little bit more sophisticated. But if we go a little bit behind, just to emphasize why, they have one program counter that points on the instruction, but different pointers to a data.
Okay, I see. So it's like every core, I guess, of video card, like always like in the same time it makes the same operation on the same set of data. I see.
That's why, because there is no magic. You otherwise CPU would have already thousands of cores like GPU does. The reason why GPU does, because they're way more, I don't want to use the word simplistic, but in a sense they are way more simplistic. They have a program counter and then they're just putting different data. But now if you're putting if, you will execute everything twice. There is no other way around. In a more recent ways, they now have a set of program counters. So you can actually achieve a branching up to a point without executing everything twice. So the kernel is a special code that starts executing in this fashion. So you have a program, and usually you would even annotate, if you're using an VCC compiler, you would say this function will be executed on device on GPU, and this means that this is actually kernel. So you have to write it in a fashion that accommodates all that. And to be fair, it's a very interesting way, because if you're running a kernel, you constantly need to be thinking about performance. And the drawback, the very interesting drawback there, because you have so many different threads, the bottleneck quite often, how fast you can move data.
Like to memory and back.
Exactly. Yes. If you have a huge matrices that multiplying each other and they're really huge, if you would implement a very naive multiplication with nested two loops, one loop nested to another, because your matrices are so huge, you will force the kernel constantly go to the slowest memory and back, and now you will be memory bound. So there is a specific calculation that if you're writing a kernel, you always are evaluating two things. Are you memory bound or are you compute bound? In an ideal world, you need to write a program that's compute bound, which means that you can move the data as fast as you can to utilize 100% of your kernels on your GPUs. And this is very, very hard by design, because each GPU...
Do you mean hard like mentally write it, or just hard to make programs this way? Hard, like hard for humans or for machines?
It's a good question. It's really hard for humans to write the kernels successfully.
Okay.
Even if you will, let's take a very simple example. You have two vectors, you just need to compute the sum of each element. And these two vectors are huge. Now, the thing is, depending on the hardware that you have under the hood, which particular GPUs, depending on amount of memory it has, you need to slice vector differently.
Okay.
So you cannot just say, oh, move a chunk of that here. You actually need dynamically to first calculate based on this hardware that you see right now here, which chunk to move it. And in a more simplistic cases, Java have solved with JVM. You're saying, here is a thing, I'm moving the pointer, it will translate it to assembly code and everything is fine. In this particular case, you actually need constantly be creating how to redesign your kernel in the way that for a particular small chunk of the memory will be effective. There is no silver bullet, and that's why you have one of the ways to write kernels is just compilers. There is a movement to have a compilers where you have a Python code and will try to compile the graph and will try to execute everything efficiently. But this is not used by the most sophisticated companies in the market because compilers are just not sophisticated. It's just not possible for them to come up with creative solutions for your problems.
I see. But is it a problem because we have so many different architectures and devices? Like, let's say you only and always compute for the same processor. Would it be easier for you to do it?
If you
still like a problem.
No, you're absolutely right. If you're computing by one, that's absolutely fine. But this is a problem on the market right now. The AI overall immature. What this means that when a new hardware comes out, you really, really want to go and rewrite your kernels with all the new APIs and NVIDIA giving you, because it's actually a meaningful boost to your productivity.
I see. But there are no like abstractions that allow you to say, okay, just like port code to next version of hardware, right?
Nope. Just to give a very simple mental model with examples, imagine you in the previous generation, you cannot put the vector to the memory, so you're slicing it. In the future one, you actually can, so now you can send the whole vector there and forget.
It's interesting how it started again, right? Like it was almost like fixed, for many, like almost for a few decades, like processors are the same, like computers became like more standard. It's funny that because it's like why PlayStation 3 and 4 like had like, especially PlayStation 4 had such a good graphics as the end of the life of console, like while console was super outdated, but people learned how to optimize it very well because it was like same processor for like 10 years, so people knew exactly how to squeeze it. But now with AI, I guess like you have to learn with new architecture all the time.
Yeah, but I like your analogy because we do go back in time. When last time you actually cared about size of the variable that you actually care about?
I make UI with JavaScript. I don't care about size of anything. Variable can be as big as it wants.
Is it wants? I like that. But in here you have to, like this example with kernels, right? When you have a one program pointer. The thing is, you actually inevitable will have different local variables. So you have indexes. Indexes will be different. So there is no magic. This means that you have to have a register, the CPU registries that stores the local variables, and they are shared across all the these virtual threads, so to speak. So now, if you would double the size of the local variables, you theoretically can run out of space to split them correctly, because amount of registers it is very, very small. You cannot have arbitrary amount of local variables. So we're really going back in time. We now care about the hardware more than we care about the people. Again, yeah, it's
interesting. So now we can hire more people for higher salaries if they can optimize this one line of code.
Oh, yes.
I don't mind.
This is a very true statement. People who do program really well kernels, their salaries and total comp actually starts from 1 million per year, because obviously they are swept from the market easily. There is not that many folks that can do this efficiently. It's
okay. Mini book, 21 days to learn kernel programming.
Yes. 1 month to get a senior kernel programmers. Yep. Now, two interesting things in this specific topic from OpenAI and from JAX. Everything that I just mentioned programmed in C. In a C, so this gives you a nice mental model in the sense that it's something that you're familiar with, but there is unfortunately a really, really big problem. Obviously, C was never designed to be used to write the kernels.
I don't know how they look like, but like most shaders, like for games, they wrote in like as a kind of C-ish dialect.
Yes, that is true, but I don't think ever in the game industry there was such amount of money behind squeezing 5% of productivity from the shader. That's my hypothesis. I honestly am not sure, but that's at least my hypothesis. And there are at least two changes to that. OpenAI themselves have released a Triton. And this is effectively a Python-like programming library that allows you on a Python to write your code that will be translated. So they're not trying to be smart. They just give you a syntactical sugar for writing your kernels in a simpler way. And there is a Pallas. Pallas is the same for JAX, and the reason why JAX actually have something instead of using Triton is because TPUs and GPUs have slightly different computational models. So it actually makes sense to have a slightly different abstraction models. But in theory, I think both of them can work with both. It's just one slightly simpler for GPU, another slightly simpler for CPU. But again, in theory, and I'm not there yet. I have not played with either of them yet. You can use one and it will work in both cases.
So let's say I want to learn this Pallas language, right? To get, as you say, 1 million salary. What can I where can I run it? What can I use for my playground? What is a hello world in this language?
Unfortunately, neither for Triton, for Pallas, I do not know. I know for kernels because I have implemented few, and for that, I would assume the same for here. It's probably some Python libraries, but you probably will have to have actual either GPU or TPU.
I see. So you need to have a hardware.
I'm trying to be really careful here because in the past, and I have not had the need because I usually just bootstrap the VM, but in the past, I clearly remember that NVIDIA used to provide a mock driver. So you actually...
I see in installing they have CPU only, so I guess
perfect.
It could be it. There are some limitations, but probably something possible.
Keep in mind that this is where it might get tricky. JAX by itself is abstraction on any accelerator. So if you actually want to test and write kernel for GPU, it might actually have a hidden dependency that you will see it's failing when you're trying to run it on GPU. So it does have CPU support. It even has an Apple ARM support that will try to optimize specifically for ARM, because the whole idea of JAX and JAX written on top of XLA, the whole idea of XLA to provide you the high level abstraction. But the moment you're actually speaking about the kernel, and the kernel is something much lower level. So the compiler is supposed to be using your kernel. So the moment you're speaking about the kernel, it might not be that simple that you're just installing JAX CPU and then trying to write GPU kernel.
I see.
It might be. I don't know.
Yeah. I remember I was playing around with, I think it was Q# language, one that for quantum computers. And there was a Microsoft official... I think they had in Azure, they have a real quantum computer that you can run, but they also have a fake-ish with the same API that you can use.
The same analogy actually you can apply because NVIDIA in the past used to provide mock NVIDIA driver. So it's NVIDIA driver that will be installed on the hardware that doesn't have NVIDIA GPU. And now you can install CUDA, cuDNN, and everything will just work very slow, but it will just work. That you can use to play.
I see.
Okay, I think enough hardcore for the day. It's Friday, but do learn kernel programming if you want, folks, a lot of salary. But yeah, it's extremely hard.
So, it could be one of the things, like it's like if you start learning on hype, you're already too late. There are people like with a background, but maybe not. Who knows? Like we still need a lot of people in programming anyway.
It's like a goal of poor people in investment: buy high, sell low. Yes, that's exactly the same idea. Yeah, if you're learning on the hype, something is wrong. To be fair, I actually do think that there are at least 2 years before the market will reach saturation of people who knows how to do the thing. But again, I'm not sure. Since we're in the AI topic, I wanted to share very related things about how field is immature. There is this very nice white paper from the ByteDance, Mega Scale, Scaling Large Language Model Training to More Than 10,000 GPUs. And when you actually touching this field, you're realizing indeed how field is immature and young, and how many things have not been developed. And to give a sense of that, many networking primitives are yet to be developed. So you have a model that you're charging on 10 or 15 GPUs, and suddenly one VM goes down and 2 GPUs goes down.
Okay.
Let me ask you, what would you expect to happen?
If only one goes down?
You pick either example, either one GPU or the whole VM with 2 GPUs goes down, and you still have a bunch of them in the cluster.
I mean, coming from web services, I assume load just distributed to the rest of them, or you spin up one more fresh VM and then continue work there.
Neither. It's exactly what should be happening, and in reality, the situation is so dire, and again, just because how immature is field, that most likely what will happen, the whole cluster will stop.
Okay.
It will recreate one VM, then it will load a model from the last checkpoint that could be 6 hours or 10 hours or 2 days before the crash have happened, and we'll start from there. So you just wasted, if you have one VM out of 10 that failed, you just wasted money of that 9 VMs effectively that were there.
It seems like really unreasonable. I mean, I guess there's just no tooling, but it seems like not very straightforward in technical sense, but not very straightforward in what you want to achieve, like to continue computation from the before failure.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It is. But there is 2 problems why this is actually happening this way. One, because training is so demanding to the networking. In many cases, like case of the infinite band or other hardware, the networking is actually very custom. So you have a custom networking with custom drivers, with a custom stack. When you're doing something, everything custom up to the stack, the first version of whatever you did is reasonably, with reasonable expectations, will not gracefully handle some of the problem with the network, because the whole idea of this network to be as reliable as theoretically it can be. So we're just saying, okay, it's reliable. I'm not going to care in the V1 or V2 even for the cases when network suddenly became unreliable, because that should be a tail case. And not that they should not care. It's just, again, V1 or V2, the very early stages. So now you have implementing everything, and obviously your top libraries will just by default be assuming the network is there, hosted there, and if the host is not, it might wait forever, and that's just assumptions. Now, on another side, if we go one step up, now the training itself, what the training itself doing, it's slicing the model on the hosts. So if one of the layers of the model suddenly have disappeared, it really doesn't know what to do. It has no idea, because the layer just disappeared. The latest layer is from checkpoint who knows how long ago, so it cannot just load it because it will be not consistent with other stuff. So it's usually just dying altogether.
Yeah, but like you don't have orchestration to do, right? Like whoever dispatches training needs to know the things and know how to replace layers and so on.
Yes, this all solvable. Like, don't get me wrong. It just shows how industry is immature, and 10 years from now, we effectively in the age where, remember, where we were younger and the grass was greener, we were doing there is a special magic and distributed, scalable, highly reliable building systems.
Like, a few years ago, I was so impressed when Uber released Cadence. It's I don't know how it's called, like distributed workflow. Essentially, you write Go code, but in a way that if it fails, it will restart and continue from a point where it stopped. Not guidance, it was like a cadence.
Oh, cadence. Kilo.
No, just C.
Oh, like Charlie. Cadence. Nope. Why? Cadence. Uber cadence.
Yeah. I was like very impressed. You write a code and it's like if it fails, it just like continue from where it stopped. Like obviously they do all magic, but for you as a coder, it was very, very easy to write like long living, like, you know, you want like your code to execute like for like 2 hours, kind of, you know, awaiting on things. Okay, just put it there.
I see. That's an interesting concept. And that remind me, there was a topic from the past that highly relevant to what we're discussing right now. This problem, Microsoft solved, but I forgot the name. I'm going to find it. Oh, shit. Microsoft Singularity. Microsoft Research. Yes. So the whole idea of Microsoft is Singularity Project is very similar to from both sides. What you just said about the Uber and what I just said about the problem of the space of AI. So they actually implement a layer of abstraction on top of GPU driver. So now you can actually intersect all the signals, not the signals, command or how should I say, all the system calls that are going to the driver, abstract them and move the GPUs under the hood away and in. So in theory, this provides exactly the same thing. Just, okay, something is down, just continue with the same memory state on other hardware. Now, in practice, obviously, I'm not from Microsoft, but in practice, similar systems are having a hard time for several reasons. Why? Again, because of how deep learning, especially in training-wise, optimized for a very specific hardware. You cannot just take a GPU that was physical next to another GPU and move it to a different VM. That just doesn't work like that. Your model might expect that this GPU need to be physically through the NVLink connected to another GPU with dispatch. So
it's like very, very sensitive to that part.
Exactly, yes. It's actually knowing all the time bandwidth of connection in between very specific parts of the model. And if you disrupt that flow, you might degrade the speed of training very noticeably. And the second part, the system assumes that you don't have a specific requirements of the type of GPUs. You're just throwing in the pot everything that you have, and it will magically move around. But in reality, again, people are writing kernels for very, very, very specific GPUs, and you cannot move it around.
You mean like for network, different parts need different specific GPUs?
Yes, for training the network, yes. They usually have very specific GPUs, but the whole idea of Singularity that you are agnostic to the accelerator. You're saying, I need a slice of GPU with particular amount of speed and particular amount of memory. But in reality, you're always writing a kernel for not only particular amount of speed and memory, but for very particular GPU with a very particular hardware APIs. So yeah, I'm not from Microsoft. I don't know if it works or not, but I'm a little bit skeptical about this specific.
Oh, have you seen their Microsoft recall feature that they recall it back?
Really?
I mean, I don't think they recall, but people like, I mean, probably they should. It's like literally stores your screenshot and other stuff on your computer. And knowing how many breaches and issues with Microsoft and viruses and Trojans like getting to your data is like, this seems like pretty stupid.
Wait. Okay, let's first tell what is recall.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what is Microsoft recall? Someone in Microsoft came up with a pretty genius idea. It's like, let's make a screenshot of your desktop like every few seconds, periodically. I don't remember like exactly, but like very often. And then later you can use AI saying, hey, what I did back then, because it has access to screenshot, it can tell you, like search by this. Very handy feature.
Mm-hmm.
The way they implemented it, they essentially making a screenshot of your desktop and store it in the file system. And obviously the question was raised, like, I think like someone actually, when they announced recall, someone actually asks them officially, like, hey, is it like secure, like data, privacy? And yeah, it's super secure.
Very
it's
secure.
Like no one going anywhere. And then people found it just like a folder with the screenshots. And obviously with the Windows file system and everything, like any, like in the 2 years, you can get some virus, so like some vulnerability or whatever. And like some hacker can store all the screenshot, which essentially can show you private data, passwords you typing, like whatever, like anything. So the feature is very controversial on this point. And like it was like a lot of discussions like how to disable it, that Microsoft should disable it. Because especially for people who not familiar with these things, you know, like someone can just like use it. And I'm pretty sure at some point Microsoft just turned on it by default. So many users who have no idea what it is will never knew about this feature, but then like in the years they will get hacked and get problem because of it.
Yeah, it looks like it's switched off by default, but looks
so
like
it was enabled by default. This is like even more nightmare. And especially like imagine some journalists or some people who like travel, like you think your data is safe, you use like secure messenger, and then like police get your laptop and then get all data.
You know, this is a weird case where I actually somewhat bounding with decision from Microsoft in the sense that I see all the argument, I understand why these have happened, but this is where everything is going. Like let me change the analogy. Imagine that we would be saying right now that, email going to the web, it's no longer local. So web is storing my data somewhere. And
so you're not saying, this is more like, hey, let's store user passwords in database without encrypting it, right? Like we still need passwords, it's handy feature, we need users to be authorized, and we store them in database in plain text, right? Like what could go wrong? This is a problem. I'm not saying the feature is bad. Like I'm saying that implementation currently, because companies rush to do this like AI things, and like product managers say, hey, we came up with a cool feature, let's implement it. And there's no like question, okay, is it actually secure? How it can harm users? That's a problem. So again, like think about like 1Password, right? Like for example, 1Password has a handy feature to check if your password is leaked, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't send your password anywhere. It's like have a really smart way to do it. So I guess with this recall, something will be there, like would be encryption, maybe like some information would be like derived from images and then encrypted, something like this. But storing like what you're doing on a computer is not really a good idea. Because with email, you at least know, okay, you're sending a mail to someone, they will read it. But when you go to like, bank account and like open panel with your like, SSN number or something, this is not really a good idea.
True, to some extent. What I want to say is, when you go to bank, it's not that you don't expose your SSN using web browser. You're putting it in a web browser that even more. You probably have web browser extensions that are not written by Chrome.
Sure, and then sometimes you're typing password with your keyboard. There are always transfer information, but it's very different. Like when you transfer for like a split second, and when you store it like for years in the images. I think this is like a biggest issue.
True, yes, this demands more trust. I would not argue with that. I just think that it's inevitable that this trust will be granted. Now I'm going to the field of just imagining. How I imagine the future. I do believe that in the future we will have some AI with all of us that will constantly be looking in front of us, recording everything, video, audio, not even the password that is hidden behind stars. It will see a keyboard when you type, and everyone will be still okay with that because the benefits will outweigh by money.
Yeah. I'm not saying about like a trust and not trust. I'm saying like this is like example when this kind of products should be like more like mature before you release them. Otherwise, you get in this like really unpleasant situation. Is Microsoft is just like scared because again, I know like people who use Microsoft, many of them not aware of this thing. This is just like a bad part.
Oh, if they're doing it without user awareness, that's bad. that's really bad.
Even with awareness, like regular user like don't know like how the screenshots. They're like, oh, it's a cool feature. I'll just enable it.
What I really like that at least they disable it by default, but at least it's there. Because I honestly, when I look on that, this might be one of the features that if it's not done on Apple, X years from now, I will be thinking maybe I should try Windows.
Maybe by the year Windows make it safe, like Apple also implement something like this.
Yeah, I hope so, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, Apple has to respond with something. Apple cannot at this point not to respond.
At least not stupid Siri. My bar is very low.
Yes, 100%. Okay, I didn't...
Wait, is WWDC like in the next week or something?
WWDC Apple 2024. Let's quickly find out. And I have no idea.
Oh, yes. June 10. So next week.
Wait. Where do you see it? June 10th, yeah.
Recall.
Apple WWDC kickoff June 10th. Perfect. So yes, it's actually in 3 days from now. Perfect. We'll see what they will announce. Nice. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, we still have, let's move to post-show, so to speak, the thing that we have discussing after the main topic, because there was a lot of heavy topic today. And I actually do have several films I have watched, several games, but my friend, do you have anything to share on that you have watched?
I watched on this regards.
Or played.
No, I'm still playing Elden Ring, so nothing interesting. Actually, one topic. So I finally get my hands on my Raspberry Pi 5. My friends gifted it me to my birthday, and like I'm trying to like do something. And right now I'm running AdGuard Home on that one instead of PiHole. Quite interesting software, and I'm now on the fence. From one side, PiHole is like very nice open source product, which is not just open source, like very, like community driven, and has like really nice features that some of them I may use. On the other side, AdGuard is also open source, but it's like made by a company, so they may like change it over time. But AdGuard has such a good feature, like which I wanted for a long time. Essentially, it can do DNS over HTTPS or like whatever encrypted DNS upstream. So essentially all your devices at home, they don't need to do this HTTPS stuff. They can just use regular DNS. You don't need to do any settings. And AdGuard will just go like to some encrypted places.
Okay.
Which is a nice feature. They have a really good UI, works well. So I'll probably continue to use it to see how it works. Maybe I'll switch from PiHole. But it's still doing a really nice job on cutting advertisement and do filtering and stuff.
Man, this is interesting. I never have heard about AdGuard. Oh, this is AdGuard, the famous that everyone using. Okay, so this is actually AdGuard Home that you can install. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not connected. I thought because this is a famous product, I didn't know that they have on any open source that you can install on your Raspberry Pi.
Yes, they have.
Interesting. And I might have lost Dmitry right now. For a second, for a moment. And I don't know if it's him or me, but looks like life is still going. My internet looks like still going, and he might be coming back slowly. Might be. Oh yeah, now I can see him. Yes, you back, looks like. Maybe not, say something. Partly, not yet. Now I think I can hear you. Say something.
Yeah, I think my provider like today misbehave a lot.
We need to send a complaint. When I was using modem from Xfinity, the one that they actually renting you, I was periodically getting messages, oh, you will have outage. Then I would have outage. Then it will say, oh, outage restored. I would be restored. Now I have my personal modem. I'm still getting messages, but I don't losing the internet during that. It's so funny.
I got switched to like a secondary line. So yeah, it's apparently something going on.
Got it. Okay. From my side, I want to share several things. One, interesting movie, Sicario. Have you watched the movies?
I wanted to watch it for a long time because people say it's like amazing war military thing. I never have a mood to watch it, but I like it's on my list when I will have this mood.
Then I probably don't want, not that I was about to spoil, but there is things that probably I shouldn't say. Then we can discuss it later on when you have watched.
Okay, but do you like it or not? That's the main question.
It is amazing. It is really, both of them. I would highly recommend watching both, first and second one. It is amazing, yes.
So which is closer, Rotten Tomatoes rating or IMDb rating?
92 or 7.7. To be fair, both of them are quite amazing rating. It's what about the second one? 7.7 on IMDb. The second 7.1, probably, yeah, but both are phenomenal. Okay, so then you will have a homework to watch it, and then we can discuss it.
Okay, I'll try. Oh, by the way, I played Indica. It was like pretty short game. It's.
Oh, right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like the game. I like the style, but they finish it so abruptly. You know, like you wait for something. It's like I like short games, but this one was like stopped in really like a half plot. And other like weird part is just they introduced few really interesting mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was like one really cool mechanic. I don't think it's like big spoiler, but essentially the moments in the game when this nun, she starts hearing devil.
Okay.
And like the voice lines from devil are really good. And he like speaking constantly, like talking about situation, her life, like in general. And when he's doing it, like everything changes, like world changes. Everything became red and started like splitting apart, like. And then you can press a button to start praying to get things back.
So
and
okay.
This works like a puzzle. So you need to switch between these two modes, like changing environment. And they only use it twice. Like I usually don't like puzzles, but that was like so good, like with all this voicing and sound, like was so immersed. And then they use it twice. Then they have a mechanic with a non-Euclidean room. You know, there's like a room which is weird form connected to itself. So you need to find like a smart way to move. They use it once and then never. So I feel like they cut a game, and like I really wanted to play this one more, like to see like a more story, like more development, but it is what it is.
Interesting. And they have such a weird, strange angle of the cameras in some of the, at least in the trailer. Yeah, I think
it's more like cutscenes and trailer, like game itself, like more like a standard, like third party, so how's like a third view.
Got it. Okay, interesting. So if you would have to guess, how many hours did you spend?
Oh, I think it's like maybe 5 hours.
5 hours.
And okay. It's like my wife played it, so she spent like more time than me. Like I would probably finish it early. It's very short. It's like very concise, like for few like evenings.
Makes sense. Interesting. I haven't played it yet, so yes, I don't have my 2 cents. I don't know if I will, but it looks interesting. It looks exactly how the name of the developer suggests. It looks odd.
Yeah, that's why I actually wanted to play it. Like the look, the feel, it's really well made. It's just like they didn't capitalize on it. That was a problem.
Got it. Okay, so we have time for several more small popcorn topics in the end. I want to not recommend you Minister of Ungentleman Warfare. This is a film from Guy Ritchie. Mm-hmm.
Really, I wanted to watch it. Is it bad?
It is very, very, very bad. And yes, I don't know what to say. And obviously, probably you might watch it, but someone told me it's bad. One friend of mine whom I trust with a judgment told me it's bad, but it's Guy Ritchie, so I wanted to make my own mind. So I'm telling you it's bad. I'm sure you will still watch it because it's Guy Ritchie. And when Guy Ritchie is doing something, you just cannot believe how bad it is. And the first 15 minutes, it doesn't look that bad. So you're thinking, oh, why? Maybe, maybe it's just not for those folks. And that's actually a good movie. It's just not their style. After 15 minutes, each next minute is just waiting until it's over. It's just boring.
I think I hoped, like, because there's a Henry Cavill, I really hoped it's like continuation of Uncle or some, like, because I really like Uncle movie and I really wanted just like sequel, like 3 sequels, but they never did it.
And this is exactly the feeling that you will get in the first 15 minutes. Like, oh my God, this is like Uncle, but it's about special forces in the ocean. It feels like it's going to be amazing. They have a joke similar to Uncle. And then you're realizing this is the last joke. Like literally for the next 2 hours, there will be no jokes like that. And that is sad. And the worst part, they put the joke in the trailer. I think either in the trailer or someone did a cutscene. Maybe just someone cut it and you can watch it, and that's about it, literally. But when you watch that cut, I obviously went to the, when someone told me it's bad, I went to the YouTube and punched in the name of the film. They gave me that cutscene. It looks funny. It looks like Uncle. So, okay, I'm definitely watching it, and that was it. But yes, do watch it if you want, and we can discuss.
I'm not that fan of new movies from Guy Ritchie.
Really?
I mean, like, I didn't like Gentleman much. King Arthur was like, Aladdin, like, yeah, I watched them. I wasn't like very upset, but not something that I really want to rewatch again. I would rather watch his old movies again and again.
True, but let's, for example, take Gentleman. It was okay. It was not that bad.
Yeah, like, I wasn't like, it wasn't bad. I watch it. I like it. But it's not something I want to rewatch ever. Like, I don't want to, I really want to see this film. It's like one time and I forget most of it.
Agreed. But let's look on the 4 before that. Covenant. Amazing movie. Like, I'm sure I will rewatch it.
Still need to watch. You recommended it?
Oh, yes. Again, 100%.
I need a movie for that one.
It is amazing. It is amazing, and it's very deep in the sense that not like Operation Fortune where you can watch half and then half. So it's really deep, and it's indeed amazing. That Operation Fortune, it's a I don't know, it's a gum, but it's a really nice, well done gum. Vrossman, amazing movie, highly recommend. The Gentleman. So yeah, then Aladdin, sure, yes. But looks like the ratio is still there. So the ratio is still on the level that I would probably watch his next film up to a point. Oh, he has upcoming.
Yeah, same for me. He never delivered like super bad movie. I mean, unless the new one you mentioned.
It's watchable, but I actually haven't watched Aladdin because no one, everyone's saying it's bad, so I haven't watched it. And you look, IMDb rating 6.9, exactly the same as the Ministry of Ungentleman Warfare.
Yeah, Aladdin wasn't bad. I think it was actually pretty decent. Decent. How to say, like, there was animation series, like movie from Disney. That one was really good, and he at least tried to map it to like a movie, but it was okay-ish.
And then, IMDb feels objective to many things, and you look on Snatch and it have 6.9. Like Snatch. I don't know. Oh,
TV series.
TV series. Got it. Okay, so it's unrelated. Yeah. Okay. I thought the universe is broken. Okay, Snatch 8.2. Got it.
Exactly.
Okay, I would suggest we just end here. We are almost at
sounds good.
Okay, we have 25 people listening. That's much better than last time. Yes, we are improving. We are getting back to SOTI live listeners. Not there yet.
Okay, until next week, next Friday.
Yeah, thank you, folks. See you.